Reaction now from former Republican New York Congressman Lee Zeldin and former Democrat Pennsylvania Congressman Patrick Murphy. Gentlemen, I've been looking forward to this. You guys are unique in many ways. First of all, you have ideological differences, but I think what connects you is more important than that. You are both patriots, great patriots. You are both, in my mind, heroes. You both fought for this country. You joined the military. You went to war zones. I'm just wondering, with all of these conflicts around the world right now and some of the ways in which they've been mishandled, and I'm thinking in particular of Afghanistan, but possibly the Middle East and other things, would you still join now if you were just starting again? Let me go to you, Patrick, first.
Hey, David, first off, yeah, it's great to be with my former airborne, 82nd Airborne All-American paratrooper, Lee Zeldin. I'm a big fan, and even though we're different sides of the aisle, to your point, David, we love our country. And if Uncle Sam said, hey, Captain Murphy, we need you to come back, that's why I was working out and doing CrossFit this morning. I'm ready to go back in the game if they really need me. And it's important that we have folks like Lee, who wore the cloth of our country in political public service. Real quick, David, before, 50 years ago in America, 4 out of every 5 members of Congress were veterans. Now it's less than 1 out of every 5. So I'm a big fan of Lee and the new generation of veterans serving our Congress.
Lee, I have a son who went into the military more than 20 years ago. He went into the Marine Corps. I was obviously very proud of him, but I encouraged him to do that. I'm not sure that I would encourage him as much today if he were to join for the first time. Do you feel the same as Patrick? Would you go as automatically today as you did back when you joined up for the first time?
100% enthusiastically, and I signed up before 9/11. But once September 11th hit, that only further affirmed my commitment. I actually still serve today in the reserve. And David, it's something I get a kick out of being here today and joining Patrick Murphy. You know, I actually had the legal advisor, 2nd Brigade, 82nd Airborne Division, and I went to that position in 2005. You know who had it before me was Captain Patrick Murphy.
Oh my goodness!
And through all of the years, through all of the years, you know, Patrick and I have stayed in touch. We've crossed paths. Yeah. This is the first time that we're able to join together.
Well, I have a connection
on an interview.
There too.
And I'll say,
my son, by the way, went in at the same time into Iraq in 2003 as Patrick did. So we all have connections. But go ahead, Lee. Finish your thought.
Yeah, no, I'll tell you, as a military service member, I remember when Patrick became the Undersecretary of the Army and leaned into it heavily in that position. And even though I might be a Republican, he might be a Democrat, and we have disagreements, we want to see more people working together and serving. And we certainly need more people serving in Congress who are military vets.
We sure do. All right, let's get to the politics. Having dismissed that, and I'm so happy to hear that both of you would join up in a New York second, as we say. But Patrick, what about this Russian threat story? A lot of people are wondering whether politics might be behind it. It was a Congressman, Mike Turner, who of course is a Republican, but he's very much for aid to Ukraine, who was the first to talk openly about this threat. Was politics involved? Was he just pushing to get the money for Ukraine here?
Yeah, I served the Intelligence Committee, where he serves now as chairman of the Intelligence Committee. David, and yes, I think that he's being honest, that he sees this as a threat. Speaker Johnson, though, has said it is not imminent, just like Jackie just reported from the White House. It might not be imminent, but we cannot ignore the fact in our country right now that there is war in Europe that Russia started, that they've killed tens of thousands in Ukraine. We need to make sure that we put Putin back in a box. He is still upset that the Soviet Union broke up and there's now 15 different countries, and he's trying to get the band back together, and that's why he annexed Crimea years ago, about 10 years ago, and 2 years ago, this March, invaded illegally Ukraine.
Yeah, but Lee, there are legitimate questions about whether we have been tracking the money closely enough. A lot of Americans think that our own border comes before the borders in Ukraine. There are some legitimate concerns that Americans have about the Ukrainian funding, right?
Yeah, absolutely. For one, when we're providing foreign aid to any country for any conflict, Americans want accountability over the funding. They want to ensure that stewards of the tax dollars are making sure that the money is spent most effectively. And secondly, as we saw getting in Afghanistan for as long as we were in Afghanistan, we got into Iraq for as long as we got into Iraq, and now you have this conflict in Ukraine. Americans also want to know that there is an end game.
Yes.
What is victory in any conflict overseas? So these are two fundamental questions and demands of the American public. And regardless of what side of the aisle you're on, whether you're in the executive branch or the legislative branch, you're for this funding or against this funding, it's the duty of the federal government to do a better job with all of these conflicts in providing this info.
I think Patrick would agree. We only have 20 seconds, guys. But Patrick, first to you. We've got Iran now claiming that they could take on Israel if it was one-on-one. Also suggestions that they may be very close to getting a nuclear bomb. Of course, the problems with Russia and then the problems with China. Of those three countries, China, Russia, and Iran, what's the greatest threat? Quickly.
China, no doubt. They
Wow.
are our near-peer competitor. We cannot take our eye off the ball. We need to make sure we send a message to them. They're looking at how we're acting with Ukraine right now, and we cannot.
Okay.
We have to continue the march there.
Lee, what do you think?
China today, but certainly I'm glad you mentioned Russia and Iran as deserving a very honorable mention there, because a dishonorable mention, because they are competing for that title of worst adversary.
Well, we began with agreement and we end with agreement. Gentlemen, what a pleasure to have you both on. Thank you very much. And thank you for your service.
Thanks, David.
And for the respect you have for each other. We need more of that. Gentlemen, appreciate it.